This is Sunday's Psychedelic Spirit with Aaron Akulis, brought to you by the Peace on Drugs podcast.
From Eckhart Tolle's book, A New Earth. When you are present, when your attention is fully in the now, the presence will flow into and transform what you do. There will be quality and power in it. You are present when what you are doing is not primarily a means to an end, money, prestige, winning, but fulfilling in itself. When there is joy and aliveness in what you do. And of course, you cannot be present unless you become friendly with the present moment. That is the basis for effective action, uncontaminated by negativity. So that excerpt was from Eckhart Tolle's book, A New Earth. It's in the Going Beyond Limitation section. And I found it relevant to today's topic, Pneuma. And some of my listeners may recognize the word as it is the title of a Tool song on their latest album. So Pneuma is in Stoic thought, which Stoicism is an ancient philosophy of early Greek culture. Pneuma is the vital spirit, soul, or creative force of a person. In Stoicism, as in Buddhism, happiness is found in accepting the present moment as it unfolds. So I was happy to find that excerpt from A New Earth as it captures Stoicism and puts us in the right frame of mind to discuss Pneuma. So this episode we can almost consider a part 2 to last week's Turn On, Tune In, and Drop Out. Pneuma, as I said, is the creative force of a person, their vital spirit. This makes me think of something below the ego, which reminds me of a part of Alan Watts' book that I just finished reading, where he says that we shouldn't try to get rid of our ego, but recognize it for what it is. Our creativity is usually ego-driven on its surface, like when someone writes a song and their personality is the rhythm and their story is in the lyrics, or a great fiction writer that has his or her life experience hidden throughout the pages. But there's an underlying force that gives us our inspiration and our creative drive. It comes to us via some sort of transmission into our minds, and then our personalities, our egos, shape that energy into art or architecture or song, and it becomes a part of us. Pneuma is that transmission, that drive to create that comes from beneath the surface and gives our lives purpose. It's all 9 muses. It's our subconscious. And the best way to let the transmission in and fully experience Pneuma is to find the present moment. If you listened last week and are willing to take this journey of finding your best self, then you should be finding your purpose or calling and meditating on it daily. This week, let's add the word Pneuma. Feel your innermost creative drive. At its most basic surface level appearance, it is the craving of food and shelter and clothes and sex. But as we grow more spiritual and more mature and become more present, it becomes the culinary arts and fine wines. Shelter becomes incredible architecture, from the pyramids to the Burj Khalifa building in Dubai that stands a half a mile high. Cloth becomes fashion, sex becomes love, intoxication, love becomes life. We have this Pneuma, this ball of creative energy burning inside each and every one of us. It's something that can be tapped into and used. Every one of us uses some of this energy, but few come close to even tapping the surface of its potential power. Those who do, you've heard their songs, you've seen their paintings, you may have drank their wine or ate their dishes, you've visited their buildings and coliseums. We all have the same potential to be great and do and build great things. But most of us, myself included, for the longest time, as I'm now 38 years of living on this beautiful planet, making an effort to grow spiritually and creatively, most of us never tap into that energy past its surface. And there's a lot of reasons for this. But the biggest one of all is complacency. You have a decent life, a decent job, food in the cupboard, enough extra money for going to concerts and sporting events and a yearly beach trip, maybe 2 yearly trips. You spend your free time enjoying other people's art, watching their television shows, listening to their music or reading their books, or other people's accomplishments, watching sports or award shows, or other people's creations, drinking great craft beer and eating perfectly cooked steaks. How much of that time would you be willing to sacrifice to create your own thing? The answer for most is none. And it's not even a matter of being lazy. For most, they're distracted. They've been so distracted for so long that they don't even know that there's anything for them to create. It's go to work, punch the clock, and in your free time, experience the world as it is without adding much of anything. But peaceniks, listen. There is so much to add, to change, to create. And not just art and beer and new designer cheeseburgers. The world needs innovation. We need all minds thinking together on how to solve climate change, corporate greed, the destruction of the rainforest. Pneuma. How can we direct our energy to creating art and creating positive moments that lead people to giving a shit about the earth and all of its creatures? This brings me to a tangent of sorts, because I'm not doing a lot to help with these problems other than what a lot of us do. I talk about them on a podcast, but I traded my car in on one that gets better gas mileage. I recycle everything. I use reusable grocery bags. I don't use straws at restaurants. I limit my meat intake. I try to live as green as I can, and we all should do this. But I'm not making much of a difference even with all that. And I remember one time I was at the Kava bar one day, and I was talking about the problems with trade law and third world labor in South America. And this dude asked if I was lobbying for change or going to these countries to protest or doing anything other than talking about it in a bar. And I said, no, just talking about it. And he was kind of an angry dude. And he said, he's like, well, you're not really doing anything, are you? You're just running your mouth for no reason. Like, any of us can do that. And to that, I said, no, I'm not. The First Amendment of our Constitution was the First Amendment for a reason, because us talking openly about the world's problems spreads awareness, and the more people that are aware of something, the better. Let's say I can't go down to the Amazon and try and march or tie myself to a tree or whatever I can do to stop them from, destroying the Amazon. I have a wife and a job and a mortgage. But say I'm sitting there talking about it and someone heard what I said and they didn't have those things in their life holding them back. And they went and, they did something about it. Had I kept my mouth shut, maybe they would have just got a job the following week and never done anything exceptional. But my point is that talking and spreading positivity and shedding light on things that need to change is a great thing to do. And that's the main reason I do this Psychedelic Spirit. It's also the main reason I do the Peace on Drugs podcast. Yeah, I'm just talking about things that are a problem. But the more people that are aware of it, the less that we're going to tolerate it, and the more that we're going to try to make changes. So I think that's whatever we can do, whatever we can find in our time to do, we should do. And if it's just talking about it and spreading information, do it. We need to spread positive ideas. So this week's idea, as a continuation of last week's, let's continue to find our best selves. Because if we find our best selves, we can help create a better world, because we will be better as we navigate through the world ourselves. So we should meditate daily and find comfort in the present moment. So open yourself up to your deepest pneuma. Find your creative energy and start creating. Let's all move away from redundancy and autonomous, the autonomous zombies that are stuck in a workplace cycle, a cycle that leaves us empty. I feel empty when I hang around people stuck in this cycle. Peaceniks, let's grow together. Let's all become forces of positive energy. The people around us will feel it too, and they will begin to evolve. And then the people around them. That's what Eckhart Tolle was talking about in A New Earth. It's a new world where people wake up from their unconsciousness. I'm calling on you to awaken to the present and start living your life. So this week's kind of a continuation of last week. Is going to be short and sweet. I've really been having a tough week, honestly, with dealing with trying to get podcast guests and trying to get things together. And I just think that this psychedelic spirit thing has been so important. And for me, it's helped me grow and helped me realize and kept me to these books like A New Earth. So this week, I'm not gonna end with any special quote. I'm gonna actually end with a recommendation that you read Eckhart Tolle's book, A New Earth. It's called Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. And it's an amazing book. And it's about being in the present moment, but it's about if we all can get into the present moment, it'll be a awakening of consciousness that'll spread throughout all of us. And that's what we need, because this world right now, there's so many problems, and I've talked about them, and we know what they are. They're cutting down to the rainforest, climate change, all these things that are happening. There's a lot happening in my country, the United States, that I don't want to get into because it gets political, but that's what's sad, is that you can't even talk about some of the things that are happening. But we know things need to be fixed, but if we just find ourselves in the present moment, if we find ourselves in a place where we can really be present and see the present moment for what it is, and we can reach out our hand to help the people around us, that's what it's about. So this week, I ask you to read this. If you're not into, some people just aren't into reading books, or they're too busy, and that's fine. But do what you can to find yourself in the present moment and to think and live as positively as you can. So that's it for this week. I love you. I hope you have a great month, great week, great life. I will talk to you again next week.